All right, so you just want to line up the joints here. And we'll start with just stretching the back of the left leg. So you take the left toe tip behind you, a sense of drawing up through your navel center to protect the lower back, and then just press back. So you should feel this through the back of the Achilles and the calf muscle, maybe all the way up through the leg. I'm just taking 3 smooth breaths here. Maybe a couple more. And then we'll take the left leg in between the hands and raise the torso. So you just want to take a moment here to set up through the body. So you want to have the left knee and ankle in line. You want to have your shoulders in line with your hips. So you just take your hands to your hips for a moment and roll the top of the hips back, right? And then draw your navel back. And the moment you do that, you should start to feel a stretch come in through the front of your right quad, maybe even to the outside of your right hip. And that may be enough for you just to sit with for a couple of minutes or breaths to release that. If you want to make it a bit stronger, what you can do is imagine that you're drawing your left heel and your right knee towards each other. So by activating the fronts of the muscles, you'll feel a better stretch as well. And then the next thing you can do is take the hands to the top of the left knee and push the left knee away from you as you draw the navel center back. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. And take a couple of breaths here. So maybe you're not feeling anything, and that's okay too. If you want to go a little bit deeper, follow me. If you're getting something here though, I just invite you to stay. So if you want to go a little bit deeper, just take that left heel a little bit further away from you so that the left heel is going to stay in front of the left knee. And then we press the hips forward. But I want you to maintain the sense of the hips rolling back. So we're not coming forward with the shoulders or anything. We're rolling the hips back, pressing the hips forward. And you can even draw your hands here down towards the mat. By turning the palms forward and squeezing the shoulder blades, you add a little bit of a activation here for the shoulders and the chest. Just take another 2 or 3 breaths. And then really slowly we ease back. And we're going to lay the torso down over the left thigh, fingertips to the floor. And we're going to extend the left leg forward to your comfortable capacity. Now that may be a bit strong with the hands to the floor, so you want to maybe keep yourself raised and then just press forward. It's tricky for the balance here. But if you can release the hands, you'll feel a little bit more stable as you bow over the left leg. And that way, I always find this when you get a nicer stretch all the way from the top of the left glute down to the heel. Just be careful if you're getting any sharp sensations behind your left knee. Ease off just a little bit, maybe bring a slight bend into the knee if that's the case. And then let's just draw that left leg back. And before we move on to the second side, with the hands underneath the shoulders here, just give your hips and your shoulders a sway in opposite directions. Notice how that feels for your body. All right, so we're going to come back into stillness. Draw the navel back to protect the lower spine, and then take the right leg back. We're going to repeat all of that on the second side. So just gently start to press back into your right heel here. And while it's tempting to look forward to see what I'm doing, I'm sure that if you just close your eyes and maybe even take your gaze to the floor. So you can take your gaze to the floor, find the length for the front and the back of your neck, and just listen to the instructions. We have to think of the neck as an extension of the spine. So we're going to take that right leg forward in between the hands. And again, we're going to raise the torso and take a moment to set up through the body. So you want your right knee and right heel in line, shoulders and hips in line, left toe tucked under. And then we'll roll the top of the hips back and draw the navel back. And this may be as far as you want to take it because you've already turned on the muscles to the front of the left quad, maybe through the outside of the hip there. You want to take it deeper, really draw your right heel into the floor and back towards the left hip and knee, and the left knee towards the right heel. So actively engaging. Third thing you can do, hands to the right knee, push the right knee away, but really hollow through the navel center. And then finally, if you want something a little bit deeper, by all means, stay where you are. Just shuffle that right heel a little bit forward so that as we push the hips forward, top of the hips back, the hips forward here, the right knee doesn't come past the right ankle. And again, you can add a little bit of a shoulder stretch by first drawing the fingertips down towards the floor, extending to the fingers, and then externally rotating. So turning the palms forward and the thumb tips out. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift up through the heart. And then let's gently release. So just rock the hips back and either stay here with the torso raised, a bit tricky for the balance. The navel stays back, and just by extending that right leg forward and drawing the right toes, you should start to feel a stretch to the back of the leg. If you feel comfortable to do so, you can take your fingertips to the floor. It's helpful here if you have a block or some books or something for your hands to rest on if it's a bit of a far distance. But we're a little bit limited doing this from home without all the props that we usually have. So just keep in mind here that if you do want to take it a bit stronger, just by drawing the right toes back actively towards the right shoulder, we'll really turn on those muscles. And a little trick to easing the tension in the back or to releasing the muscles in the back is to engage the front of the leg, even if it's just momentarily. So just for a moment, turn on the quads. Just give it a squeeze, and it will relax the back line of the leg. And then release any tension from the quad, and you may notice that you come in a little bit deeper. Last breath or two here. And then let's gently take it back. And with your hands underneath the shoulders again, just come into that gentle sway from right to left. And then we'll come to the seat. So we're going to set up for our restorative part of the class. And this is where our blankets come into play, or really large towels. So you really need to, you want to have your towel fold it really firmly, or like in a rectangle like I have here, and then firmly roll it up. So the tighter it is, the firmer it's going to be, and the more of a support it's going to provide for you. So once you've got it rolled up, I want you to take it onto your mat horizontally. So running parallel to the short edges of your mat. Right? With your second blanket or cushion, just take it behind, so that behind that rolled up one. So there's a bit of a space there for your shoulders, and this blanket back here is for your head. This is a bit of an upper chest opener. So just careful if you have any shoulder issues happening. If this causes any pain whatsoever, then what I'll get you to do is just to remove the blanket underneath altogether, or to just see if you can make it a little bit smaller, right? So the height a little bit smaller. So we'll just start with the soles of the feet on the floor, and we're going to ease back over it. And if you notice what I'm doing, this is sort of right in the upper top of the rib cage, underneath the shoulder blades. And when I lay back, my shoulders make contact with the floor. So it's just a gentle lift. The shoulders come to the floor, and then we're going to take our arms to cactus arms. So it looks like a cactus. Elbows out wide, fingers pointing up. And we just pause here for a moment. So you want to have contact with the lower back on the floor. You might need to adjust a little bit to find the place where you're going to get the most benefit. And it's okay if the shoulders hover slightly. You can adjust the blanket behind the head for your comfort. So we just take a couple of moments here to settle in. With these postures, it's the length of time that we spend in them that give us the release. So once you start to feel a bit more at ease in the posture, I'll get you to close your eyes. I'm going to be here for anywhere up to 5 to 6 minutes. And if that sounds like an incredibly daunting thing for you, then you've definitely gone a bit too far. And that's where you need to move now and readjust. And throughout the 5 to 6 minutes, just give yourself permission at any time, especially if you experience discomfort, to release and to adjust. So here with the eyes closed, you can explore a little bit with your leg variations. So for those of you with lower lumbar issues, I would suggest that the best place for you would be here with the heels underneath the knees without any extra pressure on the lower spine. You may want to shuffle your heels wider than your hips and drop your knees in towards each other. It's a different sensation in the front of the hips and back of the spine. So you're invited to just try these different leg variations and settle with the one that feels best for you. The next variation that you can explore is to heel toe the feet in towards each other. And with the soles of the feet touching, drop the knees wide. If you choose this one, it can be a bit strong for the inner thighs. So give yourself permission to move up out of it when you feel like you've had enough stretch there. And of course, the last variation that you can take is just by extending the legs long here onto the floor into like a Shavasana type position. So legs long, feet wider than the hips, and effortlessness through the legs. So you take a couple of breaths, maybe in each of the leg variations, and then just choose which one you're going to pause into. I'm going to keep my legs bent here with the soles of the feet, the heels underneath my knees. And again, with the eyes closed, we start to take some deeper yogic breaths. Most of you are familiar now with this rhythm. Those that are new, and for those of you who would like a refresher, the yogic breath always starts in the abdominal center. as it relaxes the diaphragm and it allows us to take a deeper breath into the lower quadrants of our lungs. So on your next inhalation, I invite you to really allow your abdominal center to be soft and gently float or lift away up towards the ceiling. And just take a couple of breaths here, exploring and feeling the abdominal center being really soft as you breathe in. And as you exhale, the navel center drawing back to the spine. So the abdominals are the original point of focus for the breath. Allow your breath to be the main anchor of your mind. So just see if you can allow your mind to stay with the flow of the breath, acknowledging anything that arises, thoughts, sensations, emotions, but choosing just to come back to the breath rather than getting caught up in any of the storylines. So the next part of the yogic breath is to bring the breath into the side ribs and really feeling the side ribs expand outwardly to the right and left respectively, those long edges of your mat. So as you exhale completely here and draw the navel to your spine, we take another breath in, allow the abdominal center to puff out, and really bring the breath here into the sides of the rib cage, feeling them expand. And softness on the exhale, releasing. So building the awareness here into how the breath fills the lungs. Always draw the focus back to the breath. And the final part of our yogic breath is to bring the breath all the way up, not only to the top of the sternum, but also in between the shoulder blades. When we start to do that, then we sometimes forget to bring the breath back down to the abdominal center. So we need to be mindful that the breath originates and ends at the abdominals, climbs its way up to the back of the chest and between the shoulders, and then descends back down into the abdominals. So wherever you are, let's exhale completely. And then as you inhale, allow the belly to puff out. Take the breath to the sides of the ribs, to the back of the rib cage, in between the shoulder blades, all the way up to the collarbones. And then softness as you exhale, bringing the breath back down to the navel, gently retracting the navel back to the spine. See if you can stay with that rhythm, creating a sense of evenness of length and quality for both the inhalation and exhalation for the next minute or so. And take a last 2 to 3 breaths here. See if you can cultivate a little bit more softness and ease through the body, face, jaw. Wherever you are with your leg variation, I'll get you to bend your knees and take your heels underneath the knees again. And from here, we're really slowly going to roll over either to the right or the left. We just drop the knees in one direction, take your hands over to one side and release the blankets from beneath you. What we're going to do here is just to come and lay flat again onto the back. And this is where you're going to feel the biggest change within the body. So let's go ahead and come into Shavasana. So just laying flat onto the floor here. The legs extended and the hands either side of the hips with the hands just a little bit wider than shoulder distance. For those of you, again, with lower back issues, if this is uncomfortable in any way, you can just keep your knees bent and the soles of the feet and the heels underneath the knees. So as we lay here for a moment or two to focus on the breath, we just start to notice the subtle changes within the body. Always maintaining that gentle focus with mind on the breath. And if your body's asking you just to stay here a little bit longer, by all means, go ahead and do so. If you are ready to move on, though, we're just going to glide the heels back underneath the knees. And we'll start by picking up the right foot and just placing the right heel on top of the left upper thigh. And gently draw the right toes back towards the right shin. And then start to press the right knee towards or just away from your head. Right? You can gently rock here if you like, from right to left.
Jen, is there a way to increase this stretch?
We're going to get there in a moment, Pete.
Thank you.
I'm just taking that into consideration because I know that some people have some pretty bad issues going on with their backs right now. So I just want to take it gentle and then take it a little bit deeper. So for some of you, just staying here and rocking right to left with the knee as it is going to be sufficient. You'll be feeling a stretch here, perhaps to the back of the right glute, as well as the movement from right to left may start to free up some space in the spine. If that's causing you any problems, just stay in stillness. And Pete, for those of you who want to go a little bit deeper, we're going to draw the navel to the spine and then start to pick up the left foot, and we'll wrap the hands around the thigh or the left shin. Does that feel better for you, Pete? You must put yourself back on mute. That's okay. I'm going to pretend that. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to pretend that's a yes. So this is the next level of stretch. I'm not going to say difficulty because we all have our own levels of difficulty in different stretches. So it's another level of stretch here. So you can stay here, and again, you can stay in stillness or you can just rock it from right to left and notice how that feels for you. And you may find, so for example, when I roll slightly to my left and I hold here in stillness, I feel a stronger stretch through the back of my right glute. And you might want to just pause there, or you may find that you get that stretch when you roll to your right a little bit. We're all a little bit different anatomically. And then, of course, the next level of stretch here is to keep the navel engaged to the spine, tuck the chin, and raise the head and shoulders. Right? So we're coming into a tuck and really drawing that left knee in towards the left shoulder. If you're here with me, you may want to release the hands from the top of the left shin and take it behind the leg and press the left heel up towards the ceiling. Straightening the left leg, pressing up to the left heel. You can, of course, lower the head and shoulders back to the floor. And it may be accessible here. Pete, you might like this one, just to trigger grip that left big toe and engage through the left bicep to draw that left heel closer to your head. Again, in stillness or in rocking from side to side. If it's not accessible to trigger grip, you can always take your hands to the back of the left calf. Careful here, though, you're not getting any sensations through the back of the calf or the knee. So no pressure on top of the knee joint itself. The right foot maintains on the upper left thigh, not on the knee. So just see if you can hold this one here for just another 3 to 5 breaths. If you're feeling something, that's good, but make sure you're not holding your breath and that your breath rhythm maintains that evenness. So the calmness of the breath remains and the quality of the breath from the top to finish stays the same as well. So from here, wherever you are, we're going to just start to lower that left foot back on the floor. And if it's already there, then just stay there. And again, we're going to come back into that, I guess, more gentler hip opener here with the right foot on top of the left knee, the right thigh pressing away. But this time what I want you to do is see if you can drop the left knee to the floor on the left-hand side, right? If this causes you distress for your lower back, keep your knees upright for a moment and I'll come back to you. You want to keep that right foot on top of the left thigh, but what we're doing is we're going to start to draw the right knee down towards the left ankle, right? You can take your right hand and gently press on top of the right upper thigh. For those of you that this does not feel good for, what I want you to do is just to take the right foot to the floor and with your hands supporting your torso, just drop your knees here to the left, right? From here, you may want to then take the right foot either to the floor next to the left heel and drop the leg back, or just stay here with the knees dropped over to the left. Whichever variation you're in, again, let's just take 3 or 4 more breaths. And then start by drawing the navel back to the spine to release. So we're engaging the abdominals and protecting the lower back. And then we're going to roll back to center. We're going to release the right foot. Extend the left leg along the floor here. And then we're going to tuck the right toes underneath the left foot. So let me repeat that again. Left leg is long. Right toes tuck underneath the left knee. And for those of you who are quite familiar, we're going to roll now over to the left. And we're going to see if we can take that right knee to the floor on the left-hand side. If you need, you can take one of your blankets that's rolled up and place it underneath your right knee, particularly lower back issues. And we're just going to hold this. So with the right hand, you can stretch it up towards the ceiling. And as you do that, you want to bring a sense of lightness into the left or to the right shoulder joint, and then maybe drop that right hand behind you. Take the gaze over towards the right thumb tip. So you're getting a twist through the whole spine. For those of you wanting to go a little bit deeper and you want to add a bit of a stretch for the back of the right hamstring and calf muscle, what you can do is untuck the right toes and then take the left hand to support the right leg and straighten the right leg. And with the left hand holding onto the calf, the ankle, or even the thigh, press out to the right heel and straighten the leg here. And so while there are different levels of stretch here, it's really important that you become aware of what's appropriate for your body. Oftentimes we end up injuring our bodies, not necessarily in yoga, but in life, because we've missed the cues. We've missed the cues when something's become uncomfortable or has started causing us pain and grief, and we've just had that mentality, and it's very common with military folk because you've got that idea to just push through pain, right? And that you're going to make it through and that you're going to finish your task. However, you're in recovery, so we have to think about, where do I go in this stretch? Where do I go in this pause that I'm getting some benefit and I'm not harming my body? So listen to what your body's saying. If you can maintain that soft breath, gentle relaxation through the face, then you're most likely okay. But if you notice that you're tensing or you're shaking, and see if you can ease off just a little and know that you're doing the right thing by yourself. We'll take one more breath here and we'll just slowly release. And again, we're going to come to lay flat onto our backs. So back into Shavasana. And we'll extend the legs away from the body, the hands near the hips, palms to the ceiling. And again, we rest here for half a minute to a minute, just to witness how the energies have shifted within the body. So do you feel a little bit looser through the right leg? Does one side of your body feel lighter than the other? Are you able to direct your breath anywhere where you're still holding tension to let go? And maintain the focus on the breath. And with the last breath or two here, we're going to come back into just sliding the heels back in line with your knees. And keeping the right foot on the floor this time, the left heel comes to the upper right thigh. We take the left toes here towards the left shin, and then press the left knee away from our head. And that just comes into a nice little hip opener. You can stay here and pause, or you can just gently rock from right to left. So if you know that you're coming into a deeper posture, you can come into the next level already, but try not to come into that deepest variation yet. So you still want to spend anywhere between 3 to 5 breaths building up as you move to the next variation of stretch. And that just helps prepare the body. And it helps us maintain a sense of ease. So either staying here with the right sole of the foot on the floor and either moving or in stillness, or drawing the navel to the spine and picking up the right foot and threading the hands around the right thigh or around the right shin. And again, just rocking from right to left. Finding whether or not you feel happier rocking, or finding that position either to the right or the left where you're getting a deeper stretch. Pause for 3 or 4 breaths. Just come back into the neutral position, and to take it to the next level of stretch, the navel to the spine, the chin to the sternum, and draw the right knee into the right shoulder. And again, you can either just choose to stay here, or if you want to bring it into a stretch to the right leg, interlace the hands behind the right thigh. Just start by pressing that right heel up towards the ceiling. And you can keep the shoulders and head off the floor if that feels good for you. I prefer having my head and shoulders back down to the mat. And you can just really firmly draw the right leg back to your comfortable capacity. Remember, it's too far if you start shaking, or if you start if the jaw starts clamping or becoming too firm. So you want to keep the jaw nice and soft, the breath smooth. You can release the hands maybe up the leg a little bit, mindful not to cause any sharp pains behind the right knee. And you can either trigger grip the right foot or big toe, or you can maintain your hands onto the right leg. If you are using the right arm here, trigger grip specifically, or actually with the hands even on the shins, what I want you to do is make sure that your shoulders haven't gone up to your ears, that you're actively drawing the shoulders away from your ears, but you're still maintaining that grip with the hands and an activation through the arms. We'll just take another 5 or 6 breaths here, cultivating that sense of softness or smoothness through the body. And again, it doesn't matter. Don't judge yourself if you're still on that first level of stretch. As long as you're feeling something, then you're getting the benefit from it, right? Don't over push yourself. Find what works, stay with it, and you'll notice pleasantly over time. And of course, your range of movement and your flexibility will improve. But it really is, and it really does take consistency here. All right, so we're going to get ready to move. So we just take that right foot back to the floor. And we're going to extend the right leg along the mat. And then the left foot comes next to the right knee. We're going to tuck the left toes here underneath the right knee. If you used a support for underneath your knee on the other side, most likely you're going to want it for the other. So maybe just take your prop over to the other side of your body. And then from here, we're going to roll over to the right and take the left knee to the floor. Now, You do want to keep that left knee on the floor on your prop, and your right hand can come to the top of the thigh just to assist it there. Well, actually, we skipped something altogether, didn't we? I'll have to get you to come out of this because we don't want to be uneven. Let's come back to center for a minute with the knees underneath the hips. Take the left foot back on top of the right thigh. Very sorry about this. And then we're just going to drop that right knee over to the right? So the left heel is still on top of the right knee, and we press the left knee here towards the right heel. So again, if this wasn't appropriate for you on the first side, you can just keep the left foot on the floor and drop the knees over to the right. Or you can take that left sole of the foot to the floor and keep the right knee pressed down. And we'll just hold this one for 3 or 4 breaths. We've got a little bit ahead of ourselves there. So the gaze here is going to stay neutral to the ceiling, in whichever variation you're in. And then to release, we draw the navel to the spine to protect the lower back, and then raise the knees back to center. Release the left foot to the floor, extend the right leg long, and now we're going to come into that twist. So with your prop on the second side and your left toes tucked behind the right knee, we're going to start to roll over towards the right until that left knee touches the floor or your prop. And the right hand, again, come to the top of the left thigh to secure it down. We extend the left hand here up towards the ceiling. Make sure you're feeling that lightness through the left shoulder joints. And maintaining that lightness, drop the left arm back to that top left corner of your mat. The hand may touch the floor, it may not, don't worry. If you have any shoulder issues, you can always keep that left arm bent. And this time we're going to take the gaze over the left shoulder and pause here. I don't know if I mentioned this on the other side, but if you do have lower back issues and you find having that right leg extended, you can bend both knees and just press down with the right hand on top of the left thigh to give yourself a bit of a twist, making sure that you're not aggravating any existing problems, right? So it should give you relief, not aggravation. And if you feel aggravated out of posture, then coming out of it and not judging yourself for not being able to accomplish, but rather encouraging yourself and congratulating yourself for really listening to your body and giving it what it needs. For those of you who want to go a little bit deeper into this stretch, you do have the option to release the left toes from behind the right knee and take the right hand now to the back of the left calf or up towards the ankle and draw the left toes up towards the right shoulder. So this isn't for everyone, but you may want to give it a go. Just gives you a little bit of a deeper stretch through the ITV bands on the left side of the body. That's where I generally feel it. Although you may just feel it into the back or into the thoracic spine, the middle part of your back. And we'll just take another 4 or 5 breaths here. See if you can create softness in the face, jaw, and the breath, and throughout the entire body. So on your next exhalation, just if that left leg was straight, bend it in, and we'll roll onto the backs again. And again, we're going to take a moment here just to release the body. So we're coming back into either constructive rest, which is probably more appropriate for people with lower back issues. It takes the pressure off the lower spine. So the heels underneath the knees. It's called constructive rest posture. or Shavasana, and that's with the legs extended away from the head and the heels a little bit wider than the hips, the toes drop out. Palms wider than shoulders, but near the hips, and the palms stretching to the ceiling. Eyes gently focused or eyes closed, and return to the breath, and we notice again subtle changes within. So we just have one more posture we're going to come into this morning. So I'll get you to bend your knees again. It's a prone position, so you don't have to go very far. You do have 2 blankets. So with one of the blankets that's still really firmly rolled here, we're going to place underneath the hip girdle. So we'll take the soles of the feet underneath the knees, draw the navel to the spine, raise the hips, and then glide that blanket underneath the hips and lower it down. So usually we use block here. Sometimes we use a bolster if we're in class, but a firm rolled up towel or blanket does a nice trick as well. Generally, this is really lovely for releasing the lower spine. So Lance, if this one's not feeling particularly good for your back, then release it. I think that might be something that you'll find quite nice. We have a couple of options here. So you can just maybe bring a gentle movement and sway the knees from side to side and see, does that give you more release or relief? Does it feel better in stillness? You can choose either one of those. Another option we have is to bring the knees into the chest. So you start with bringing one knee at a time into the chest, and maybe with just the hands on the knees, holding, or again, rocking. And we're just going to be here for about 10 breath cycles. So either with the feet on the floor, with the knees hugged in, either in stillness or in gentle movement, we take this final position. And I should mention just one more thing that may feel nice. So if you do have your feet off the floor, you take your hands and you point your fingertips down to your toes. So the hands come over the tops of the knees, as I'm doing here. And then just gently drawing the knees away from your head. Sort of brings a natural arch into the spine. We'll give you a slight lift for the front of the torso. And you can rock from side to side here. So really, we're just taking these breaths to explore how this feels for you. You don't always go for the deepest stretch or the strongest stretch. Well, sometimes it's just about finding what gives you release for the areas of discomfort in your body. So we take another 5 breaths. And then really slowly here, we're going to take the feet to the floor if you have them raised. Pause. And if you find this is giving you particularly nice release and you're happy here, you can stay for the remainder of the practice. One thing that may feel nice for you as well is with the blanket still underneath the hips is to extend the legs long. This opens up the front of the hips, hip flexors, and it puts a bit of a compression into the lower spine. So it may feel good, it may not. For some people, it may feel fantastic. For others, it may feel painful. So never put your body in a place that's causing discomfort. But if it feels like it's giving you some benefit, then go ahead and explore. If not, you can always just keep the soles of the feet underneath the knees. And just return to that soft breath. We'll take another 5 breaths here. And then on your 5th exhalation, if your legs are still extended, bend the knees, heels underneath the knees, navel to the spine, press down through the feet, release that blanket from beneath you. And again, we just stretch out either in Shavasana or stay in the constructive rest. If you're cold, you can place a blanket over you. If you like, you can take a blanket underneath the head. And what you're looking for here is just to have the chin in line with the sternum. Stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system for relaxation. I'm going to go ahead and cover up because I find it quite cold today. So please just do what feels right for you. Take any sort of final adjustments. Eyes gently closed once you're there, or soft gaze. And we try to remain in stillness just for the last 2 or 3 minutes. And of course, when we try to still the mind or come into quiet, then that's when it's almost like the mind gets cued. Okay, thoughts, let's go. And that's really natural. So if that's the case for you, just know that you're normal. And then we start to train the mind, much like a charioteer pulls back on the reins from the horses. So you imagine that the horses are the thoughts and the mind working. But you are the charioteer and you have your hands on the reins. You've got control of the breath. And whenever you notice the thoughts starting to wander, just rein them in and bring them back onto your smooth breath. Sense of softness throughout the entire body. Sense of effortlessness. Gently start to bring your awareness back into your physical body. Of course, if you would like to stay longer in Shavasana, please do so. Start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Make circles with the wrists and the ankles. Ready, bend the knees. And you roll over to your right or your left, whichever feels more comfortable for you. And we're going to pause here again in the fetal position. So not getting up quite yet. We just roll over. Maintaining the eyes closed here, and just start to notice how you feel after the practice within your body and mind and in the spirit. And really slowly we'll just press down with whichever is your top hand and make your way back to a seat. And let's just take the hands onto the knees for a moment. And now we'll just circle the shoulders up and back a couple of times. And change the direction. Into a bit of stillness here. Just drop your chin to your sternum for a moment. Release the back of the head, the neck. Stay here, turn the head from side to side. And then raise the gaze. Hands to the heart. Breath in, stretch the hands high. If it's okay for your gaze here or for your neck, raise the gaze to the thumb tips. Bring the palms together, take the gaze forward. Take the hands to the crown and the brow, throat, in your heart.